Hey guys, wow, you step over broken glass, the kind that crunches just enough to tell you something violent happened here, but no one's sweeping it up. On the corner of Geneva Ave and Dorchester, a white van with no plates is idling. It was here, they say, where a man was taken while walking to his job at the car wash. No questions, no goodbye, gone. This is Boston, but today it feels like a checkpoint. And the raid, it was massive. ICE called it Operation Community Shield. The name sounds like something out of a Marvel movie, but nobody here feels protected. You turn your head and there's something haunting in the air. Silence. No one is talking, not on camera, not off. The streets are too quiet for 370 arrests. This wasn't supposed to happen like this. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop your location and the time you're watching this. I love seeing how far these stories travel. And let's go on the journey of Day's story together. Because the press conference told you one version. ICE said they dismantled a violent gang network operating under the shadows of Boston's public schools and community centers. They displayed mugshots, guns, and 1 pound of fentanyl. But that's not what residents saw. What they saw were their classmates disappearing. Their neighbors. One woman told a reporter from The Independent that her brother, a mechanic, was taken during a gang sweep. His worst offense? Fixing a car that once belonged to someone who had gang ties back in El Salvador. One odd detail, an ICE press release from 2023 mentioned that among their priority targets were people with matching tattoos or affiliated colors, a chilling nod to an internal database ICE uses to label possible associates, even if there's no actual criminal history. And that's what's so strange. The people with the deepest histories of violence, according to a track review, many weren't among the 370. One agent told Wired anonymously, "They know how to vanish. We're catching who's easy." You stand across from a red brick community center in Roxbury where the paint flakes off like it's been through too many winters. This is where ICE said the gang recruitment was happening near schools, after-school programs, even in church parking lots. That's what the press release claimed. Operation Community Shield targets violent transnational criminal gangs threatening our neighborhoods. But when you look closer, the math doesn't add up. The majority of those arrested weren't found near any gang zones. They were pulled from homes, traffic stops, and job sites. A nurse was arrested outside her shift at Boston Medical Center. A barber disappeared mid-cut. In the Boston Globe, a quietly reported detail said that of 370 people swept up, over 200 were detained for civil immigration violations, not criminal ones. You wonder, if this was really about gangs, why were so many arrested with no weapons, no records, no charges? A 2024 track breakdown confirms only 6% of the arrests were tied to confirmed gang members. ICE spokesperson Brian McGee doubled down anyway, saying presence in gang territory or association through family could count as justification. Now you're remembering what one woman posted on TikTok, footage of her cousin being taken in handcuffs at a soccer game. No gang tattoos, just cleats and shin guards. They took him because he knew someone who got jumped last year, she whispered through tears. And then there's the surveillance. In a little-known detail buried in a Wired investigation, it turns out ICE had geolocation data from cell phone apps shared through third-party vendors. They weren't just following criminal records, they were watching movement patterns. Anyone who went to the same gym, the same subway stop, the same laundromat as a flagged person could be put on a watch list. You realize this isn't policing, it's mapping. Predictive enforcement, a 21st century ghost hunt where you don't need proof, just patterns. And when the patterns look like poverty, like immigrant neighborhoods, like skin tone, you don't need a warrant, just a press release. And just like that, the silence starts to make sense, because speaking up means painting a target on your back. You remember the name now, Gyro S, a junior at East Boston High School. His Instagram still has a video from the night before the raid, him dancing in his living room, holding a pizza box from Gino's, captioned, "One more grind before the weekend." He never made it to class the next day. His teacher noticed his absence. His mom called everywhere. But it took 3 weeks before anyone knew he was in ICE custody in New Jersey. You feel the weight in your chest because Jairo had no record. Nothing. Not even a school suspension. He worked part-time delivering pizzas, sent half his paycheck to help pay rent. His mother, undocumented, kept quiet. His older brother, Luis, a U.S. citizen, and the reason Jairo may have been targeted. Luis had an argument with a landlord who later tipped off ICE about illegals running drugs in the building. No drugs were ever found. That landlord's tip may have landed Jairo on a list. An internal ICE memo leaked to Demency. The Marshall Project shows community-based intel sometimes means anonymous tips with no required verification. That's all it took. No trial, no defense, just gone. And here's what gets you. Jairo's case wasn't isolated. ProPublica's July 2025 review of ICE's Boston operations revealed at least 14 minors swept up in raids with no criminal history. Most were simply linked through family, location, or ethnicity. The family hired a lawyer. They're fighting deportation. But ICE is pressing hard. Their claim? Jairo matches an individual of interest from a neighboring town based on a shared address history. The kid they confused him with? A 24-year-old with MS-13 affiliations and a different last name. Meanwhile, Jairo's mother lost her job. She now relies on church food pantries. His sister stopped speaking in class. You imagine her in the back of the room, counting the days until her brother returns or disappears into a system that doesn't know him, doesn't want to. You scroll through Jairo's feed again, his last post before he vanished. A boomerang of him blowing out birthday candles. His wish? College apps next month. And you ask yourself, what was he guilty of? You sift through the reports like a detective who doesn't trust the evidence already filed. You need to see it with your own eyes. So you open the track database, one of the few transparent repositories ICE can't easily edit. There it is, Boston Field Office, June 2025. 370 individuals apprehended in Operation Community Shield. But scroll to the charge breakdown and something leaps out. Only 23 were listed as confirmed gang members. Another 61 had prior arrests, mostly misdemeanors, loitering, trespass, expired tags. The remaining 286, no criminal charges. No prior immigration violations, no court flags, nothing. Still, ICE lists them as associates. You dig into how they define that word and it's slippery. According to an archived ICE enforcement manual from 2022, association can include shared school attendance, family ties, geographic proximity, or cultural indicators of gang affiliation. One of those indicators? Frequenting locations of known concern. You blink. That could mean a bodega, a public park, even the library. Then there's the footage. A freelance journalist uploaded leaked body cam video from the early morning raids. You see agents knock once before busting through a door in Chelsea. Inside, a grandmother, 2 toddlers, and a terrified teenage boy. The agents pause when they realize the subject isn't there, but still take the boy, citing risk of flight. Later, ICE says he had been linked to activity under review. No explanation. No apology. You pause the video and breathe. The New York Times reported that similar raids in 2023 had been challenged legally for probable cause violations. But ICE found a workaround, collaborate with local law enforcement, piggyback on open warrants, or act under administrative orders that don't require a judge's signature. It's legal, but barely, and definitely not just. So when the press says 370 gang arrests, what they mean is 23 real ones and hundreds of people who fit a model, not because of what they did, but because of who they are, where they live, who they texted, what time they took the train. You realize this isn't enforcement, it's algorithmic suspicion. And the human cost? It's starting to look like the whole point. You sit with it for a minute. The paradox. If gangs really do threaten neighborhoods, and they do, shouldn't someone be doing something? But then, what is that something? Is it this? You scroll through comments under ICE's official announcement. The post reads, Operation Community Shield removed 370 dangerous individuals from the streets of Boston. But underneath, the responses vary. One person types, thank you for keeping our families safe. Another, you just deported my brother's math tutor. And one more that stings, why are you hunting shadows and calling it justice? It's hard not to feel torn. On one hand, gang violence in Boston, particularly MS-13 and 18th Street connections, has claimed lives. Innocent people, shootings, fear. A teacher from Eastie tells The Guardian her students cross gang territory every day. They walk in twos, heads down. It's not pretend, she says. We do need help. But is this help? Because the way ICE defines help includes predictive models that would flag you for simply living near someone already accused. According to The Intercept, ICE contracts with a third-party data firm that uses AI to scan social media for emojis and slang associated with gang behavior. If you posted near a known zip code, that could land you on a list. No context, no defense. You imagine being 17, trying to look cool on Instagram, and then disappearing before math class. There's also the matter of due process. ACLU lawyers in Massachusetts say many of the detained weren't offered interpreters. Some never saw a lawyer. Some were moved out of state before family even knew where to find them. One immigration judge went on record with the Marshall Project. I saw a kid in court who didn't even know what he was charged with. I had to tell him. So now the debate isn't, do gangs exist? It's, do we trust the same system that targets without trial, arrests without crime, and defines safety by quotas? Because if you let safety override rights for one group today, how long before it overrides yours tomorrow? You follow the ripple outward now, past the flashbangs and headlines, into the quiet damage. Boston's neighborhoods feel thinner, like something essential got scraped out. You hear it in the way people talk softer, shorter. A barber in Mattapan tells you 3 of his regulars vanished after the raid, all under 25, none in gangs, but all brown, all broke, he says. He hasn't seen them since. At East Boston High, attendance dropped 7% in 1 week. Teachers started adding empty chairs to class photos, just in case. One guidance counselor, speaking anonymously to Cal Matters, says students come in shaking. They're not worried about grades anymore, she says. They're asking what happens to their little siblings if their mom gets taken. You visit a church near Maverick Station where Father Ramos hosts sanctuary nights. Families huddle in the pews after sunset, too afraid to go home. Volunteers bring tamales and sleeping bags. No one talks above a whisper. We thought sanctuary was a metaphor, he tells you. Now it's logistics. Local businesses feel it too. A produce vendor near Dudley Square lost half his employees overnight. One of them, a father of 3, had worked there for 9 years. No record, no gang ties, just a Salvadoran passport. His youngest still comes by sometimes, thinking dad might return with the morning deliveries. And then there's the economic fallout. According to the Migration Policy Institute, Boston lost nearly $1.8 million in local tax revenue after the raid. Why? Because 62% of those detained had steady jobs mostly under the table, but taxed through IDNs or withheld wages. Their absence means not just broken families, but broken budgets. The ICE press team doesn't mention that. Their official update lists community improved and neighborhoods secured. But if you ask the people living there, they'll say their community feels quieter, not safer, just thinner. Like every knock on the door could be the one that steals the rest of their lives. You wonder, if enforcement leaves this kind of wreckage behind, is it really order or just another kind of violence? You walk slower now, through the alleys, past shuttered storefronts, over sidewalks that echo too easily. You're not just tracing a story anymore, you're standing inside the aftermath. And a strange thought creeps in. ICE didn't just come for people, it came for something more abstract. Trust, voice, belonging. The raids feel less like removal and more like a message. A warning broadcast through zip codes. You're not invisible, but you're not safe either. That's when you start to wonder what ICE actually is. Yes, it's an agency with badges and press releases and chain link holding cells, but it's also something else. An idea, a mirror, maybe. Because every ICE raid holds up a reflection not just of the immigrant problem, but of the American psyche. What we fear, who we fear, what we're willing to overlook to feel in control. You flip through your notes and find something odd. A Reuters piece from last year mentioned that ICE had briefly considered a rebranding campaign. New colors, new messaging. One leaked memo suggested emphasizing community partnership and mutual respect, but the idea was dropped. Internal surveys showed the base preferred the image of toughness, not compromise. It hits you. Maybe ICE isn't designed to solve immigration. Maybe it's designed to perform control, to reassure certain voters that someone somewhere is cracking down, even if the crackdowns are hollow, even if the system buckles under its own contradictions. The gang member left untouched while the honor student is detained. The family man taken while the trafficker vanishes into the wind. You remember Jairo, his pizza box, his sister's silence. That isn't just tragedy, it's philosophy. It's a society choosing image over nuance, punishment over repair, surveillance over solidarity. And through that lens, Boston becomes a metaphor. A place where ICE isn't just an agency, it's a ritual, an act of civic theater that reenacts fear, defines outsiders, and reminds everyone else this country has borders not just around land, but around compassion. You realize you're not just telling a story. You're inside a moral equation, one where justice subtracts people to make statistics feel safe. You sit at your desk, the footage still playing in the corner of your screen. Another shaky phone video. Another mother screaming he didn't do anything as a black SUV swallows her son. You've seen this before, different names, different cities, but the rhythm is always the same. And still the question haunts you. What can you do? You start by listening. Not to press briefings, but to survivors. People like Sophia M., a high school junior whose brother was taken. She started a petition with classmates, 2,000 signatures and counting, to pressure Boston City Council to end local cooperation with ICE. They said we were protected, she says in a video posted to Instagram, but ICE doesn't need a badge to break a promise. Then you learn about the local legal defense fund run out of the Chelsea Collaborative. Donations help families like Gyro's get lawyers who speak their language. Volunteers translate court papers, babysit during hearings, deliver groceries when someone disappears. No one's famous. No one's tweeting clout, but they're resisting, quietly. You find out that Track's real-time data can be used to flag inconsistencies in ICE statements. A coder in Cambridge created an open-source dashboard that cross-references arrest stats with public crime databases. It shows what ICE won't, that arrests often spike near election years, not gang upticks. And what about you? Maybe you can share Gyro's story. Maybe you talk to your school board. Maybe you show this video to someone who thinks immigration is simple. It's not. It's stories. It's systems. It's people being folded into categories they never chose. The truth is systems only respond to pressure, not feelings, not fairness. Pressure. Calls, votes, shares, feet on streets, money to the right places. ICE won't disappear tomorrow, but the way it operates, that can change. So here's your moment. Your CTA. Talk about this. Donate where it counts. Call your rep. Ask hard questions. And when you hear they were dangerous, ask, dangerous to whom? Because when silence becomes complicity, your voice becomes a weapon. Use it. You close your laptop and let the screen fade to black. The last image lingering in your mind is Jairo's smile, bright, unguarded, unaware of the storm that would find him days later. You breathe slower now, letting the noise settle into something quieter, something reflective. You've just walked through a narrative most people will never hear, not because it's hidden, but because it's easier not to look. The streets of Boston haven't changed overnight. The raids are over for now. The sirens have gone silent, but the impact remains. It sits in empty chairs, half-filled classrooms, and store owners waiting for employees who won't return. You realize that behind every ICE operation is an ecosystem of quiet harm, lives unmade by algorithms and suspicion. Whole futures pause because someone thought a badge made them infallible. But tonight, you carry more than outrage. You carry clarity, and with it, a soft rebellion. You see now how fear is manufactured, how control wears a uniform, and how narratives get constructed to justify the unjustifiable. So you promise yourself this next time, you won't scroll past, you'll pause, you'll question, maybe you'll share. Because every time a truth is spoken aloud, a little bit of darkness lifts. You think about Father Ramos's sanctuary nights and Sophia's petition and that coder in Cambridge. People who didn't wait for the system to fix itself. They didn't shout louder than everyone else. They just refused to look away. And now, neither will you. So take this story, tuck it into your conscience, and carry it forward. Let it shift how you see your city. Let it inform your next conversation. And if your heart still feels heavy, that's good. It means you're awake. It means you're still human. Sleep soft tonight, but don't forget, because silence isn't safety, and memory is resistance.